Reality is supposed to follow rules, cause and effect, time and space. What we see, what we hear, what we remember, it's all supposed to make sense. But sometimes it doesn't. These are the moments when something breaks, when we catch a glimpse behind the curtain and realize we might not be in control at all. Tonight, we bring you 9 terrifying glitch in the matrix stories that will make you question everything. True or not, these first-hand accounts will burrow into your mind and leave you wondering, are you living in a simulation? Story 1, The Man at Pump 6.
I usually don't stop for gas that late at night, but I was running on fumes after a last-minute shift. It was 1:17 a.m., and the only station open in my area was this old, barely lit Chevron off the highway. The place was quiet, too quiet. The hum of the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and everything felt still. Not just calm, still. I pulled up to pump 6, put my car in park, and stepped out. The keypad on the pump was cracked, the screen flickering slightly. I swiped my card, entered my zip code, and started fueling up. That's when I noticed the man. He was standing perfectly still at pump 4. I hadn't seen or heard him pull in. No headlights, no engine, just him, facing his car, but not moving. Not pumping gas, not checking his phone, just standing there. I looked around. No one else. The attendant booth was empty. The windows dark. For some reason, I felt this pressure in my chest, like I shouldn't look away from him. Like if I blinked, something would happen. I tried to shake it off. Maybe he was just drunk or having car trouble. The pump clicked, tank full. I replaced the nozzle, got back in my car, and decided not to wait around. I turned the ignition. That's when I saw something in my rearview mirror. Pump 4 was empty. My stomach dropped. I looked out my window, nothing. The man was gone. But here's the thing. I never heard a door open, no footsteps, no engine, and even weirder, his car was gone too. I would have seen taillights, heard tires on gravel, something. I sat there frozen for a few seconds, just trying to make sense of it. Maybe I hadn't seen anyone, maybe I imagined it. I shook my head and pulled out of the lot. That's when my headlights hit the road and lit up pump 6, the one I had just been at. And standing right next to it was me. Same jacket, same shoes, same posture. Me, staring back through the windshield. I slammed the brakes, heart pounding. But when I looked again, there was no one there. Just the empty pump, still flickering. I didn't wait around to make sense of it. I drove straight home, door locked, blind shut, sitting in my kitchen trying not to lose it. Later, I checked the Chevron's location on Google Maps, just to see it in the daylight, I guess, only it's not there. The Chevron off the highway closed down 6 years ago, torn down, replaced by a fast food joint. I double-checked the address from my receipt. It doesn't exist. I still have that receipt. Time-stamped, pump 6, total, $42.19. But when I look closely, the Chevron logo is wrong. Not the current one. Not even the one before it. It's one I've never seen before. Sometimes I wonder, what if I hadn't driven away? What if I'd gotten out of the car again? Would he have gotten in instead?
Story 2. My house shifted while I slept.
This happened just a few weeks ago, and I still can't explain it. I live alone in a 2-bedroom townhouse in a quiet part of town. I've lived here for over 4 years. Same layout, same creaky floorboard outside the bathroom. Same odd humming noise from the fridge at night. I know this place like the back of my hand, but one night I woke up around 3:30 a.m., feeling off. You know that feeling when something's wrong, but you can't tell what it is yet, like your instincts are screaming, but your brain's still catching up. I sat up in bed and immediately noticed that my alarm clock was gone. Not just unplugged, gone. The outlet was there, empty, like nothing had ever been plugged in. That alone was weird, but I figured maybe I knocked it off during sleep. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, and my phone wasn't there either. Now I was really awake. I got out of bed and stepped into the hallway, and everything looked almost right. The painting on the wall was crooked. The light switch was on the wrong side. The air felt too still, too sterile. I walked toward the kitchen, trying to convince myself I was dreaming. But the kitchen window, the one I always kept half covered with an old blue curtain, had a beige blind instead, and my fridge, it was stainless steel. Mine's always been black. It wasn't just the decor. The layout was subtly wrong. The hallway was longer. The bathroom door was on the opposite wall. It felt like someone had recreated my home from memory, but they got some of the details wrong. That's when I heard footsteps upstairs. There is no upstairs in my house. I froze, trying to process what was happening. The footsteps were slow, heavy, methodical, like someone pacing. I backed away slowly and reached for the door. But the front door wasn't a door. It was a smooth wall, no knob, no seams, just solid white drywall. I spun around in a panic and ran back to the bedroom. My bed was gone, not moved, gone. In its place was a metal table, and on it was my phone, still on. Battery at 73%. I picked it up and it lit up. 3:33 a.m., no signal, no Wi-Fi. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the screen, but eventually my phone buzzed, just once, and the screen flickered. Next thing I knew, I was waking up in my real bed. Alarm clock back, phone on the nightstand, everything normal, except when I went into the kitchen, the fridge was stainless steel. I still don't know if I ever left that version of the house, or if something came back with me.
Story 3, The Substitute Driver.
This one still makes my skin crawl because I know what I saw, and no one believes me. I work as a school bus driver, morning and afternoon shifts 5 days a week. Same kids, same routes, every day like clockwork. This happened on a Thursday. I remember because it was raining hard and I hate driving in the rain. I had just finished dropping off the last student and was heading back to the bus depot. As I pulled into the lot, I saw another bus parked near the gate. That wasn't unusual. We rotate buses all the time, but something about this one gave me pause. It was my route number 223. That's my bus. I even checked the side mirror. It had the same scratch from where a kid hit it with a scooter 2 weeks ago. But I was sitting in bus 223. I parked, grabbed my umbrella, and walked over to the other bus. The engine was running. The door was open. I stepped up inside, calling out in case someone was testing it. Hello? No answer. The driver's seat was empty, but there was steam on the windshield. Someone had just been in here. I walked toward the back, and that's when I noticed it. Every seat had something in it. Backpacks, jackets, lunch boxes. It looked like a regular morning pickup, except I hadn't driven any kids yet. Then I heard a noise. The door at the back of the bus opened and slammed shut. I spun around and ran off that thing so fast I nearly slipped on the steps. By the time I turned to look again, the bus was gone. Not just empty, gone. No tire marks, no wet patches, no exhaust trail in the rain. Just nothing. I ran inside and asked dispatch if someone had pulled in another bus 223 for maintenance or swap. They looked at me like I was nuts. You're the only one driving 223 this week. I checked the security cameras the next day. At the time I pulled into the lot, I was alone, but I'll never forget the feeling I had when I stepped onto that second bus, like I was trespassing in someone else's version of my job.
Story 4. The wrong apartment.
A few years ago, I moved into a quiet little apartment building just outside the city. Nothing fancy, just a small one-bedroom on the second floor, number 2B. One night after work, I got home a little later than usual, closer to midnight. I was exhausted. I climbed the stairs, unlocked my door like always, stepped inside, and immediately froze. Everything looked normal, but not mine. There was a different couch, a different rug. The artwork on the walls wasn't mine, but it was close. Similar colors, same spots. Even the hallway mirror looked the same shape, but it had a black frame instead of silver. I backed out, thinking I'd somehow gone into the wrong apartment. But when I looked at the number on the door, it said 2B, just like mine. Exact same lock, same wear on the doorknob. That's when I heard the shower running. I turned and booked it down the hall to double check. The floor layout was identical, but now the door at the end of the hallway said 2D mine. Confused, I unlocked the door, and everything inside was exactly how I left it. My couch, my rug, my mirror with the silver frame. I should have let it go. But curiosity got the better of me. I went back to 2B. This time, the door was shut and locked. I knocked once, just to see who answered. Nothing. I knocked again. That's when I heard the front door of my apartment creak open behind me. I turned. No one was there. But now, the hallway looked off. It was just a little too long. The overhead light buzzed louder than usual, and at the end of the hall, where the stairwell should be, there was just a blank wall. No exit. I blinked, and suddenly, I was standing back, outside the building. Just outside, on the sidewalk, keys in hand. No memory of walking back down. I ran upstairs. My apartment was there, normal. But when I checked my phone, the time had jumped 40 minutes forward. I still live here, but sometimes, when I walk past 2B, I swear I hear the shower running.
Story 5. The child in the corner.
I work security for a small local museum. Nothing major, just night shifts watching over exhibits, checking cams, logging rounds. The building's old, but charming. Wooden floors, creaky staircases, and a weird back corridor that leads to a locked archive room. That wing was always dark, always locked, and no one ever really talked about what was in there. One night around 3 a.m., I was doing my rounds when I saw something strange on camera 4. The motion sensor light in that locked hallway turned on. That never happens. There's no foot traffic there, no open windows, nothing that could trigger it. I switched to the live feed. There was a little girl standing in the corner of the hallway. She faced the wall. Pale blue dress, long dark hair covering her face. I thought maybe a kid had wandered in during the day and somehow got stuck inside. So I grabbed my keys and ran over. Took me less than 2 minutes to get there. And when I did, the hallway was dark, empty, still locked. I stood there for a second, trying to figure out what I'd seen. Then my radio crackled. Security were showing movement again, same hallway. I looked up and the light flicked on behind me. I turned fast, but again, no one there. I went back to the monitor room, rewound the footage. Here's where it gets weird. I watched myself walk into the hallway, but in the footage, I never turned around. I just stood there. Same spot, unmoving, for 6 full minutes. The live feed showed me sitting at the monitor, watching this. But the footage showed me still in the hallway, staring at the wall. I fast-forwarded. I never left, never moved. I called the site supervisor and told him something was wrong with the cameras. When he came in the next morning, we pulled up the archive footage from that night. There was no recording, nothing after 2:57 a.m. I've worked that job for 3 years now, but I never patrol that hallway anymore, and I've never seen that little girl again. But sometimes, the hallway light still flicks on, always at 3:04.
Story 6. The loop behind the diner.
A few months ago, I was on a solo road trip through the Southwest, just me, my car, and some time to clear my head. I pulled into this dusty little town for gas and food, the kind of place with one diner, one gas station, and not much else. It was late, close to 10 p.m., and the only thing open was a 24-hour diner, neon sign flickering, desert wind blowing through the empty streets. The vibe was off, but I was starving. I walked in, took a seat, and ordered coffee and a burger. There was one other person in the place, an old man at the counter, nursing a black coffee, staring blankly ahead. The waitress didn't say much, just nodded and walked off. That's when it happened. The front door opened and I walked in. Same clothes, same backpack, same tired look. I stared at him, at me, as he walked right past me like I didn't exist, sat in the exact booth across the room and ordered coffee. His voice sounded like mine. His mannerisms were identical. I felt dizzy, nauseous, like my brain couldn't compute what I was seeing. The waitress didn't react. The old man didn't even flinch. I got up and rushed to the restroom, splashed cold water on my face. I stared into the mirror for a long time, trying to talk myself down. "It's just stress," I whispered, "just exhaustion." When I came back out, he was gone. No sign of him, no half-empty cup, just my booth, empty. I paid my tab and left quickly, but as I walked behind the diner to cut across to my car, I froze. The same scene was playing out again. The front door opened. I walked in. Same clothes, same backpack, same order, same booth. Only this time, I was watching it through the diner's back window. I didn't go back inside. I got in my car and drove until I was too tired to keep going. The next morning, I returned to that town to make sure it was real. There was no diner, just an empty lot with a crumbling foundation and a few broken bricks.
Story 7. The wrong mom.
This happened when I was 13. It still messes with me to this day. My mom used to pick me up after school every day at 3:15 p.m. sharp. Same silver car, same spot, same wave. One day, I walked out of school and saw her waiting like always. Window down, sunglasses on, smiling. I got in the car, tossed my backpack in the back, and buckled up. But something felt off. She was quiet. Too quiet. Normally she'd ask about my day or rant about traffic, but this time, nothing. Just drove. I looked at her, and it was her face, but not quite. Slightly sharper jawline, lips thinner. She didn't have the tiny freckle on her temple that I always used to stare at. My heart started pounding. I didn't say anything at first, thinking maybe I was imagining it. Then she spoke. "You like science class, right?" My stomach dropped. I had never mentioned that to her, and she never asked about specific classes. I muttered something, trying to stay calm. She kept driving, but we weren't going home. We passed the turn to our neighborhood. I sat up straighter and said, Where are we going?" She smiled. "Just taking a different route today. Shortcut." That's when I reached into my pocket and dialed my real mom's number, silently. I heard it ring once. And from the woman driving next to me, I heard a buzz from her purse. No answer, but now I knew. I unbuckled, flung open the door, and jumped out of the moving car. Skinned my knees, tore my shirt. but I didn't stop running. Eventually, a real silver car pulled up beside me. My mom jumped out frantic. "Where were you? I've been driving around for 20 minutes looking for you." I turned around. No sign of the first car. No tire marks. No dust cloud. Just the road, stretching empty behind us. To this day, she thinks someone tried to abduct me. But I don't think that was a person. I think something wore my mom's face. And it almost got away with me.
Story 8. The Time Pocket.
I used to work the overnight shift at a campus library, mostly shelving books and keeping an eye on the place while students pulled all-nighters. It was quiet, uneventful, until one night that still haunts me. It was just after 2 a.m. I had finished restocking the second floor and decided to take a break in the staff lounge. No windows, one flickering overhead light, and a crusty old vending machine that mostly ate your money. I sat down with a bag of chips and pulled out my phone. 2:08 a.m. I scrolled for a bit, zoned out, maybe 5 minutes tops. Then I looked up and the clock on the wall said 5:41. I blinked, thought maybe I misread it. Checked my phone, 5:41 a.m. But the weird part, nothing had changed. No sunrise through the windows, no early students coming in. The building was still dark and silent, like it was 2 a.m. I rushed out into the hall. No sign of anyone. I called out, walked downstairs to the main floor, completely empty. Front door still locked, security lights still on. Then my phone buzzed, a notification, "Good morning. Your 5:45 a.m. alarm is set." It made no sense. It was morning, but everything felt paused, stuck in that in-between space where time exists, but nothing moves. I went back to the break room to grab my jacket and leave, but my chips were still sealed, like I hadn't opened them yet. I picked them up and walked out. The second I crossed the front lobby threshold, birds chirping, traffic sounds outside, sunlight poured through the tall front windows, and now the front doors were wide open. It was like I had slipped into a pocket of time that wasn't part of the real world, and somehow stepped back out. No one believes me. They say I just dozed off, dreamed it. But I still have the unopened chips bag with the time-stamped receipt, purchased at 2:06 a.m.
Story 9. The other me is still out there.
I'll make this quick because the more I talk about it, the more I feel like I'm being watched. A few years ago, I was heading home from a late shift. I stopped at a gas station around 11 p.m. to grab an energy drink. I remember this moment clearly because I was standing in line when someone behind me tapped my shoulder and asked, "You okay, man?" I turned around and it was me. Same hoodie, same tired eyes, same small scar on the chin from when I was a kid. He looked just as confused as I felt. We both froze, and without a word, he turned and walked out the door. I ran after him, but he was gone. No cars pulling out, no people walking off, just vanished into the night. I tried to shake it off, but everything started going weird after that. Things in my apartment would move slightly. People I knew would reference conversations I swear I never had. One friend even told me I already mentioned a story that I hadn't told anyone yet. And then the dream started. In everyone, I'm standing outside my own window, staring in, watching myself sleep. Sometimes I wake up and swear I hear the front door click shut. Then, a few weeks ago, I came home to find my TV on. It was paused on security cam footage from inside my apartment. There I was, on screen, entering through the back door while I was at work. I called the police, but the footage disappeared the next day. Nothing on the system, no history of a recording. So here's what I think. When I saw that other version of me, I didn't go back alone. There's a version of me out there, walking around, doing things I don't remember, living a slightly different life, and sometimes I think he's better at it than I am.
If these stories disturbed you, good, because the scariest glitches aren't the ones we notice, they're the ones we don't. You might not remember stepping into the wrong room or missing a second of your life, but something out there might be watching. Thanks for watching. If you've experienced a glitch in the Matrix, share it in the comments. And remember, reality is only stable until it isn't.